Excellent question. I think I can give you three takeaways, maybe. The first is that what we're seeing, even in this room and on this stage right now, is such a diverse group of people and coalitions who are coming together on this single issue. We're here at a conference talking about mental health and the intersection of social media and technology, and I think that in itself is an example of the broader movement that exists here. We have folks from young people like us sitting on the stage to parents, an intergenerational coalition that exists, and grandparents as well, and we also have lawmakers on every single side of the aisle that are pushing for reform. And I think that's one takeaway that I want to make here, is that social media reform and mental health is not a partisan issue. It's not left or right or center or any direction you want to pick. It's not an age issue. It doesn't depend on a certain generation or a certain position. Instead, what we're seeing is that this issue transcends every single boundary that exists because it's so important and because there's so much momentum behind it and energy that's needed to push this forward. I think the second picture that I'll paint for y'all as well is that we're seeing big tech push back with tremendous strength. I think one note that I like to often bring up is the fact that 6 big tech social media companies spent $61.5 million last year lobbying against legislation just on the federal level. Not to mention the states, not to mention other countries either. And so they are spending massive troves of money to try and push back against the very ideas that we're talking about in this room. Now, to put that in perspective, in the 1990s, big tobacco was facing its own regulation crisis. 31 companies spent $73 million fighting against federal legislation. So let me say that again. 6 social media companies spent $61.5 million. 31 big tobacco companies spent $73 million. And so what we're seeing is a tremendous pushback from big tech. And they like to often paint our coalition and the groups of people in this room as being single issue, diverse, and not necessarily focused on the same problem at hand. But to be clear, this is a mental health issue at its core, and it's centered on social media.